name is Ian Wogan. I'm an arborist here in Miami, Florida. We're here at the Miami Beach Botanical Garden, and I wanted to walk you through a little bit of Pruning 101, how we look at the architecture of trees and woody plants and make the best pruning cuts for our garden. So here we go. I'm here with a coral tree. This is a tropical species from the Philippines, and I'm looking at how it's grown in and sort of how it's developed over the years, and I'm going to come in and make some selective pruning cuts based on what I see here. Before we get into the pruning, I wanted to run you guys through a little bit of the tools that we use for making the best cuts and for managing trees in our garden. As an arborist, I have some professional tools that we like to use, but I think they're very accessible to the homeowner as long as you're careful with them and mindful of the fact that they are dangerous if not treated properly and handled accordingly. So one of my all-time favorite tools is a pair of hand pruners. These are Felcos from Switzerland. But there's multiple manufacturers. I've found Felcos to be one of the most reliable, best tools that I can use to make really small, selective pruning cuts. If there's a branch a little bit too big for the hand pruners, I'll go up a grade to some hand loppers. And really the most important thing, this is a double-sided hand lopper, meaning it has a blade here, and this is also sharp. They also have an anvil type pruning lopper, but I found this to be the most reliable. And again, the diameter with which you can cut is a little bit bigger than what you can handle with your hand pruners. Onto hand saws. Silky is one of my all-time favorites, and they make multiple varieties and styles of hand saws. I use one of their larger hand saws because I'm typically cutting branches that are larger in diameter on trees. They also make smaller sizes that are more manageable. This is a curved blade. They also make a straight blade, which can help you get into some tighter spots. So I would recommend Silky for a hand saw. And then this is an extending pole saw. There are power poles that you can use, but I found that a sharp pole saw will do as much, if not a better job than a power pole saw, because you have more control of it. And it's just about making the right cut. So this is an extending pole saw that can help you reach branches that are a little bit too tall and out of reach for your other hand tools. So those are some of my favorite tools for pruning. Again, I'm an arborist, so a lot of times I'm up in the trees, and I'll also use smaller chainsaws, top handle chainsaws that allow you to make larger diameter cuts in shorter amount of time with less energy spent than using your hand saw. But for our purposes here in the garden and at home, largely you're going to be able to achieve and accomplish what you want to with this set of tools. And really, if you just have a hand saw and hand pruners, you're doing pretty good in terms of what you can do in it to your garden trees. So now that we've gone through some of the tools, I want to look at the overall architecture of this tree. And what I'm looking for is the balance of the canopy. So if you imagine being 50 feet above this tree, or any tree for that matter, an ideal tree canopy will be well balanced with branches occupying different planes of a 360-degree canopy. Looking at this tree, we can see that it has almost a fan shape. So if we were to look from that 50-foot view, looking down, the tree's branching would mainly occur along a single plane. And again, ideally, we're looking for branching that occupies different areas of that 360-degree radius. The idea behind that is when we have wind events, we're in South Florida here, so when we have wind events, having branches that occupy different planes help to dampen those wind effects. When you have branches that occupy a single plane, the wind can exert forces more in unison and create stronger forces against the tree. But when you have branches that occupy different planes, they dampen each other by moving in different directions. So it's not all forced in one direction. So that's kind of the general mindset that we come to when we're looking at the overall architecture of trees. Another facet of pruning is looking to see where there may be overlapping branches. So here you can see that this branch has historically had a few branches that were taken off, maybe to make room for this beautiful palm or to install lovely plant the future spirit over here. And so what happens here is that the cambium, or the outer layer of bark tissue, rubs ever so slightly and opens the main stems to oxidation and potentially pests or disease. So we want to look for these types of overlapping branches and think about how we can eliminate them. That's one small facet. Another facet, when we're looking at creating structural integrity and stronger trees, is the taper of the trunk and the associated branches coming off of the trunk. And by taper, I mean the diameter. So this trunk has a larger diameter than this branch. And one of the objectives that we look to achieve is creating taper that goes from a larger diameter to a narrower diameter in a shorter distance.